Hello.
Hello. All right. Let me go ahead and hit record. All right. We're recording. Hello, Kathleen. Thank you for joining. How are you? We are ready to go for another installment of Get a Clue in 52. This is being live streamed into YouTube, Kathleen, just so you know. So if you want to, there you go. If you want to tone it down on either microphone or video, that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to read the final tip from Get a Clue in 52. This is not only the 52nd consecutive week, it's actually the 104th consecutive week, because this is the second year in a row that I've been doing a live every Sunday night to read a tip from the book. I wrote this book in 2019, right, and published it. Hello, Charlie. I see that you're joining, and we'll open you up in your microphone in just a little bit. I wrote the book in 2019, and then in the beginning of 2020, I started the very first week of January. It was almost 2 years ago, reading a tip every Sunday night live on my Zoom, and I would, in 2020, I would live stream into my Facebook group for Get a Clue in 52. This year, now I've been reading the second edition every single week this year. This is the last week of the year, tip number 52, but it's 104 weeks in a row that I've been reading from this book. 2020, it was the first edition. 2021, this year, second edition. This is where I made all the improvements. I found out all the mistakes. I made the adjustments and so forth. So this is like a special night for me, because I'm going to bring this to a close. Get a Clue in 52. It's the end of a 2-year marathon where every single week, every single Sunday night, for the most part, there might have been one or two that we had to make an adjustment, but every single Sunday night for the last 2 years, I've been coming on and reading one tip from this book. But it's time to put this thing to bed. There's no other improvements that can make to this thing that would justify a third edition. So I've got a big surprise. What's coming in 2022 for Get a Clue in 52 is the Entrepreneur Edition. I can't wait to talk about that. But first of all, let's go ahead and stay true to why we're here tonight, which is to finish the 52nd tip in Get a Clue in 52. For those of you that have the book and have been following along, there's 5 categories: communication, marketing, networking, sales, and accountability. Is that 5? Yeah. Anyway, so we're in the accountability section. It's the 10th tip tonight in the accountability section, but it's the 52nd tip overall. We put 2 extra tips in the marketing section so we'd have a full year's worth. And we put 52 tips into the next book that we're coming out with next year. As a matter of fact, right on cue, my man is joining us. Vipul Dayal is coming on board. This is really exciting. I'm going to bring him on live to talk about the Entrepreneur Edition of Get a Clue in 52. But let's go ahead and beat you. Hey, what's up, Vipul? Hey, Charlie and Kathleen. Wow, we've got South Africa from Charlie. We've got Catalina with Caffeine, and we got right here in San Diego with Vipul and myself. Anyway, so here we go. Get a Clue in 52. Let me go ahead and finish this up and read the 52nd tip for tonight. What I need to do is do a review of the first 9 tips that we've covered in the accountability section, and then I'll read tonight's tip, which is the 10th tip in the accountability section, 52nd overall, and then that's it. Then I close like, hey, drop the book, right? We're gonna bring in a new era in 2022, and that's why I'm so stoked. I'm really, really, really excited. Vipul, thank you for taking time on a Sunday night to be with us, and we're going to talk for a minute about our upcoming adventure. But let me go ahead and get through with tonight's responsibility is to finish the 52nd tip, 10th tip, and accountability. Now, if you have the book at home, and if you're following along on page 103, tip number 1 in the accountability section is to look within. Don't do anything regarding accountability until you've looked within first. Okay, that's very important. Tip number 2 is then to understand integrity. In weeks previous, I've made several mentions of the fact that the second edition of Get a Clue in 52 has a preview chapter in it. I'll point that out right there for the integrity game. The integrity game is a book I'm going to be coming out with this spring in 2022. And if you want to preview the book I'm coming out with in spring of 22, all you need to do is read tip number 2 and Get a Clue in 52. If that's not a tongue twister, I don't know what is. But the point is that tip number 2 in Get a Clue in 52 in the accountability section is a preview of the entire book for the integrity game. I lay out here in tip number 2 the 10 sets of questions that make up the integrity game. More on that for another time. We've got other fish to fry tonight. All right. So first of all, you look within. Second of all, you understand integrity. Tip number 3 was to get smart about goal setting, SMAART. Many people are familiar with smart goal setting, SMART. I add an A, change the R, because I wanted to infuse the goal setting process with both motivation and accountability, the way a world-class coach needs to motivate and hold accountable their subjects, their clients, their so forth. And the original smart goal setting was good. I just wanted to improve it. And tip number 3 shows you my effort to infuse smart goal setting with smart goal setting, the motivation and the accountability. By the way, there's no, people's seen me live, there's no whiteboard that is safe if I'm in the room, right? No whiteboard is safe when we're talking about goal setting. I digress. Tip number 4, let me review. Tip number 1 is look inside. Tip number 2 is understand integrity. Tip number 3 is then goal setting. Once you've set goals, now tip number 4, it's time to look outside for an external accountability source. That's what tip number 4 is about. And any external accountability source is better than no accountability source. But the external accountability source that you seek, I recommend, if they know how to teach, train, offer, deliver accountability, right? It's, any accountability source is better than none. But if you have to seek one, why not seek an accountability source that's been trained in accountability, that has been certified in accountability, that has been through the rigors of accountability, that can teach or coach or instruct or deliver a framework for how to hold people accountable. It's one thing to just say, oh, you need to be accountable. It's another thing to know how to hold someone accountable gracefully and powerfully and gracefully. I digress. Tip number 5, secure permission. That's part of graceful and powerful. You're going to have an easier time holding people accountable if you get their permission. So we've shifted in the first 4 tips from what are you doing about your own accountability to now tip number 5 kind of shifts to, if you are the person that has to hold other people accountable, tip number 5 is for you. Get their permission. You're going to have an easier time. That's all there is to it. You're going to have a much easier time holding people accountable if you have their permission. And that takes us to tip number 6 is authoring state of mind. Hats off to, if she's watching or seeing the recording, to Kim Peterson, who was our special guest that week when we covered authoring state of mind. Kim Peterson is a style coach, a confidence coach. She's just a bundle of energy. And she was our special guest when we covered tip number 6 just a couple weeks back. So thank you, Kim, for joining us for that. And then tip number 7 was gather tools of confrontation. Accountability is a form of confrontation. You're counting, so you have to confront. Sometimes in order to count, you have to confront and ask difficult questions. And when you're doing that, I recommend you have some tools in your toolbox. These are communication tools. These are communication understandings that if we have them, we're going to be better off. We're going to be better prepared, better equipped to confront with that power and grace that we talked about earlier. It's anybody could confront anybody, but the amateur, right, is going to confront without understanding the pushback, the slippery, slithering, smoke and mirrors, sliding, maneuvering, storytelling, excusing that the person's going to go through, right? So we want tools of confrontation. We want to confront in a way that keeps people engaged and on track towards what they themselves want. It's a communication game, and we've got some tools to suggest for you in tip number 7 there. Now, tip number 8 is find a way to love. This is one of my favorite tips because I believe very firmly in the definition offered for love that was laid out for us by M. Scott Peck in The Road Less Traveled: the willingness to be vulnerable for either our own or our beloved's growth. So why is that tip number 8 in accountability? Accountability is like, light a fire under my butt, or hold me accountable, or kick my butt, or get me going, or whatever. No. That's on the surface. On the surface, accountability coaching seems like bad cop, but underneath it all If you do it the way I do it, if you do it the way I teach it, you do it the way I train it, if you do it the way Vipul's going to teach it, train it in his program too, is you have to love people so much that you're willing to embrace and weather the pushback and the slippery, slidey, smoky, mirrory storytelling and excusing that's going to come naturally from somebody trying to defend their own ego. I mean, we flinch at a sound. The spider web in our face, and we start freaking out. Well, the same thing is true when somebody starts to confront us. We start freaking out, and we better love people before they start freaking out on us, because we're going to confront them, and on and on and on and on. Find a way to love. Find a way to be vulnerable. If you're going to hold somebody else accountable, you're going to be vulnerable. You got to be ready for the pushback. You got to be ready for them not being ready to be held accountable, right? And if you don't love them, who wants to deal with that? That's the point I was making. Tip number 8. And then last week, tip number 9, stop calling it time management. Charlie, remember Klubi snack? One of my favorite Klubi snacks of all time is that, hey, Father Time has been managing time since the beginning of time. And so it's so funny to me when people say, oh, I need better time management. I need to manage my time. I don't have time. I ran out of time. Stop it. Father Time is managing time. What we need to manage is ourselves, our tasks, our calendars, our priorities. Vipul is one of the greatest ever in terms of anybody that I've ever worked with ever in my life to embrace the power hour and the daily win, like every week setting up that power hour, like looking at it all. He's not managing time when he does that. He's managing his priorities. He's showing it up right there. If you're watching, he just held it up right there, his power hour sheet, right? He's going to do that after we get done tonight. Props to you, Veep, for taking what we're doing and actually implementing it and being able to walk that walk and talk that talk and talk that walk and walk that talk. And that brings us to tonight. Tip number 10 out of the accountability section, but it's number 52 overall. And it's like not bittersweet for me, but it's like, hey, I'm going to put this thing to bed. For 2 years straight, 104 weeks, I've been reading out of this book. Every tip's gotten read twice now after I read tonight's tip. But so that's the bittersweet part, like, whoo, close a chapter. Right. But every time you close a chapter, a new one opens. Right. And so we're going to talk tonight about what's happening in 2022. I might even put people on the spot and make him declare which night of the week we're going to do our jam. But tonight, this is Sunday night. It may be the last Sunday night for quite a while. But let me go ahead and read word for word. Tonight's tip number 10, ask questions. Remember, this is the accountability section. Okay, here we go. Tip number 10, page 128, and get a clue in 52. Here we go. The first paragraph here also shows up in tip 4 of my top 10 communication tips overall, ... And the rest I have to say about questions are specific to accountability versus communication or relationships as a whole. Better yet, become a master at asking questions. Did you know that a human brain, once hearing a question, will always attempt to answer it? That's powerful because it means that questions are among the most powerful in a category of communication techniques called attention getters. Simply put, when you have someone's attention, communication is easier. Let me pause there. Charlie, did you hear that? It just jumps, doesn't it?
Yeah, got it. I started scribing already.
Yeah, thank you very much, Charlie. Simply put, when you have someone's attention, communication is easier. It's amazing. That's a Klubi snack. All right. ... And when it comes to accountability, even the most permission-based and loving confrontation is much easier when you have someone's attention. One key to all of this is how much more likely a statement is to provoke a defensive response than a question is. When possible, always replace statements with questions. I have to pause there. Charlie, did you get it? When possible. I'm slowing down for you, Charlie, as our resident scribe. By the way, for those of you that are just joining us, Kathleen, I think this is your first. Charlie's all the way from South Africa, and he takes notes of anything that's worthy of a Klubi snack, isolated as its own stand-up quote. So I paused for him for his note-taking. And Charlie, thank you so much for doing that, man. It means a lot to me. Let me repeat. When possible, always replace statements with questions. As an example, allow me to provide a stream of consciousness list of questions I might ask a client in the context of holding them accountable. That's a typo right there. Holding them accountable to committing to the actions that will accelerate their progress, and then making sure they do what they say they're going to do. Enjoy. Let me make note. There's a typo right there for the 3rd edition, which I probably won't create. All right. So before I go into the word for word reading of this, because this is a stream of consciousness flow and there's a rhythm to all of this, let me just take a deep breath and set myself. I showed up tonight so eager to get to the computer tonight. I forgot water or anything like that. So let me just make sure I'm in good cadence. Charlie, you're making me jealous, whatever you sipped on. What time is it? 6 a.m. for you, Charlie?
That's right, Coach Jeff.
5?
The session starts at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, 6. God bless you, Charlie. God, oh man, love you. All right, here we go. Let me just say, I might ask, here's a list of questions I might ask a client in the context of holding them accountable to committing to the actions that will accelerate their progress, and then making sure they do what they say they are going to do. Enjoy. Got to take a deep breath here because I'm about to go on a rhythm here. Everybody with me? Here we go. Questions. Did you say you are committed to that action? Is that something you are just committed to accomplish? Wait, is that something you are just committed to accomplish by yourself? Or is that something you want me to hold you accountable for? Would you like front-end accountability? How long will it take you to complete that action? When is the soonest availability you have to complete that action? What are you doing in between now and then that is more important to your goals than this action? Why is that important? Which of those two things is really more important? Are you comfortable pushing this off until then, or can you reschedule the less important to prioritize the more important? What are you going to do when you hang up the phone? And after that, and after that, when is the soonest you could possibly complete the action we are talking about here? Would you like between session accountability? Would it help if you committed to letting me know as soon as you complete the action by text, email, or phone, smokescreen, SOS, pigeon carrier, message in a bottle, Morse code, Pony Express, anything? Would it help to say, take that, coach, in your message when you notify me upon completion? Do you want me to set a reminder in my calendar and phone to remind you to complete this action? If so, how soon before your appointment with yourself would you like to be reminded? How will we know that this got done? What will be observable after you do this that is not, what will be observable after you do this that is not observable now? How can I observe that? Are you comfortable with the power of your word that you'll complete this? And I won't ask you about this until the back end next session. Right? Remember, I asked about front end before, back end now. I continue on page 130. Would you like me to trust that you'll get this done by the next time we talk? Or would you like me to make an AWS, which is appointment with self? Would you like to make an AWS appointment with self on your calendar and invite me to attend so it shows up on my calendar? What is a consequence you wish to avoid that you could commit to suffering if you fail to complete this action? What is a great reward you can give yourself for completing this action? I could go on and on because I love coming up with different questions that deliver the ingredients of accountability in permission-seeking ways. I like that Get a Klu coaches use permission-seeking tactics to deliver the ingredients of powerful accountability. Do you like that? That concludes my top 10 tips on accountability. The truth is there is so much more to learn on this topic, especially for the person wanting to become a coach, the coach wanting to become a better coach, the struggling coach needing to provide just a bit more value in order to enroll more coaching clients, or the supervisor, manager, director, VP that needs to lead their direct reports to reach their potential instead of just manage them to meet the numbers or key performance indicators. If you're interested in learning Get a Klu's complete coaching system in either private, group, or self-paced online study, please send an email directly to me. That's me, Jeff at getaklu.net. For now, thank you for reading up on accountability and for any feedback you provide on how the next version of this book can improve or other topics you would like to see me right about. All my love to your success, Jeffrey Klubeck. All my love to your success. All right. Wow. That's a mouthful. 2 years worth of mouthful that I've been blabbering. I mean, reading word for word from Get A Klu in 52. So now this is the point where I ask you guys to open up microphones and participate in the conversation. There's a lot of things on the table. I've been previewing all along that I've got one eye on this year, finishing up at the next eye on next year. And we're going to talk about that. But before I do, Charlie, could I ask you to lead off for us? Do you have any comments or questions on tonight's tip on accountability and the question asking and the power of questions, or Vipul or Kathleen? Kathleen, you're invited to open up the mic and join us now in the conversation now that I've read the tip. Let's go ahead and close this out and talk about Get A Klu in 52, accountability, tip number 10, the power of asking questions, because questions are a form of confrontation, plain and simple. And all the previous tips get us ready to ask powerful questions. But any comments or feedback or anything about tonight's tip before we close that out and then we introduce what we're going to do next year? Charlie, go ahead, lead us off.
Thank you very much, Coach Jeff. And good to see you, Vipul, and happy holidays to everybody. Welcome, Kathleen. Wow, 104 weeks straight on. Yeah, that is marathon sessions of good insights, good learning, having fun, tears, joy here and there, and everything. Mm-hmm. I love my Klubi snacks. I actually look forward to them every Monday morning, which is very early for me here in South Africa. When it comes to questions, Coach Jeff, as you said, questions are actually forms of confrontation, but then also it is forms of gathering information as well. As I love stringing all the tips together. So in every part of Get A Klu in 52, it's always led by questions.
Yeah.
And one Klubi snack I would actually like to add for today is asking the questions does not reveal our ignorance, but failing to ask would certainly will. Now, that one came up after I penned an article about questions relating to what my dad had taught me. I think I must have been about 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah, I remember this,
Yeah, and he said to me, there's no stupid question that ever exists. However, there is one.
The one you don't ask.
Which one is it?
The one you don't ask.
And I was very confused about that. Wow. Now, not only was I confused, it didn't really make sense to me at that age, but then he explained to me that if you don't ask a question, you will never know. Mm-hmm. You will never understand. So just bringing it back now, on accountability, you will not understand the commitment the person has if you don't ask the relative questions to that. And that's my comments, Coach Jeff.
Oh man, Charlie, I feel a big heart pound in that, right? Like I remember when you reached out to me, and I remember that dialogue and that interaction that we had around, and how the Klubi snack emerged from it, and Klubi snacks, they're not mysterious. A lot of times they are just me finding my own words for universal truths, and I just try to use my wordsmithing abilities to get people to clue in, no pun intended, to these universal truths. But I've been gifted with a communication skill, I'm jovial in my communication approach. And so sometimes I come up with sticky and memorable ways of saying what people have been saying for thousands of years ahead of me. You follow? It's just my job to find my own terminology so that the people that are listening to me get it. And it's an honor that you would associate me in a Klubi snack with what your father was trying to teach you. It's an absolute honor. We are in Get A Klu in 52. We read tonight tip number 10 from the accountability section, number 52 overall. This is it. for Get a Clue in 52. I did the first edition. This is the second edition, and that's it after tonight. So let me go ahead and invite any other comments, questions, and feedback on tonight's tip about the power of asking questions when it comes to accountability and confrontation. And then we'll switch and I'll start to talk about what we're going to do next week. I might even put Vipul on the spot and make him declare exactly which night of the week we're going to be reading tips next year. But hang on before we get to that. Kathleen, I see that your mic is open. Welcome. Are you in? Can you hear us? And can you let us know? Are you in Catalina right now or elsewhere? What's happening, Kathleen?
Yeah, I'm on the island.
Hi, Kathleen. This is from Catalina. Oh, we had before Kathleen speaks. Let me tell you that Marianne and I went out there a couple weeks ago. It seems like a month ago. Or I don't know. I forget when. And it was just the time of our lives. Marianne needed it. And oh my God, if you're ever looking for a place to be, Catalina and Kathleen's hotel. Please, by the way, Kathleen, promote vigorously and shamelessly. Promote what you're doing at the hotel so that anybody watching now live as it streams into YouTube or a recording of this in the future can know what's happening. Kathleen, thank you for joining Get a Clue in 52. What do you have to say about tonight's tip, accountability in general, or shamelessly promoting your hotel? Any of it.
I don't like being put on the spot.
All right, so moving along, people. No, I'm sorry.
My property is the Avalon Hotel. We're on Catalina Island.
All right. There it is. Avalon Hotel on Catalina Island. Tell them Kluby sent you. All right. And so with that said, anything else on accountability, Kathleen? Anything? Did you get anything from the tip or have any comments or questions on the tip before we segue into, I'm going to promote my friend Vipul and I and what we're going to do next year on Get a Clue 52?
It's something that I need to work on more.
Okay. Well said. And by the way, I wrote the book and I need to work on it more. Just because I wrote the book and I'm willing to put myself out there and be vulnerable and talk about all this doesn't mean I'm perfect or anything like that. We all need to work on this. Everything I do out there for the world is something that I want to be better at myself. I mean, that's just the truth of it all. All right. So there we go. Get a Clue in 52. Vipul, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to comment about today's tip, actually. You know, I really
and I'm going to match your pace. While you're doing that, I'm going to match your pace because I like your background and I'm just going to go ahead and I just feel like I need to do something to match your pace. And all right, there we go. All right.
There you go. So I really like this tip. And the reason why I say that is because I struggle with coming out with the right things to say during very tense not arguments, but during very tense, like it can become tense, like depending on what you say. And I found that when you ask questions, it's a good way to diffuse the situation, actually. And
absolutely.
And the more I'm beginning to use it, the more I'm beginning to recognize certain situations to ask questions, and the more I see it working. So for those of you that are out there, you know, when you come across certain situations, and you want to diffuse it very quickly, so ask a question. You know, that helps for me, number one.
Yeah, this is right here on page 128. When possible, always, in capitals, it's in capitals, always replace statements with questions. Yeah. Now, if I weren't so excited about what I want to preview next time, I could go so much deeper on this, but the idea is questions, the brain, see, first of all, statements, we talked about this before, statements are a press upon, right? Where questions are an invitation. It's just a different energy. A statement you're stating, but a question you're inviting. So the resistance energy from the other person diffuses with a question versus a statement. And there's so many, I can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and I would if this weren't the last tip of the year, what I want to preview next year. But Vipul, that's a great insight. And also, like, if you didn't catch it when Vipul said it, let me just go ahead and say it. When we're triggered, when we're, triggered, literally, like in any form of emotion, we might behave in a way that could hurt us later on, or that we would regret, or in a calm state, we wouldn't recommend somebody else, right? But if we have a financial and emotional investment in something, it's easy to get triggered, and then we might make a statement in a hurried reflex, and then the person's just going to react to that statement as a confrontation, and right, equal, and now it's a back and forth. But if you could take a deep breath, lengthen the fuse, as I like to say, lengthen the fuse. Take a deep breath, hear the statement you want to make, and turn it somehow into a question. You're going to be way more in control of that conversation than you would be otherwise, right? Without going any deeper than that. And we could go deeper in all of these tips. And that's the whole point of a tip-based book, as I'm trying to, there we go, there it is not to like go deep on anything, but to give a bunch of pops, quick digestible pops. So please know that every single one of these 52 tips we can go deeper on, and we do in my one-on-one coaching, in my group mentoring, in the coaching and leadership training. There's other contexts to go deeper on any of this, but the book is a really wonderful way to get a bunch of stuff out there in digestible ways, and that's what Klu snacks are all about. That's what the 52 tips are all about. And it's a treat. It's a treat to bring this to you. And I'm proud of myself for what I've done the last 104 weeks, tonight included. And I'm really excited about what's in front of us moving forward. But let me go ahead and ask for last call for any comments, questions, tips on this version. And then I want to take a minute or two to preview what's coming up in 2022. Any comments, questions about Get a Klu in 52, first and second edition? No? All right. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. This is distracting me too, this background. I'm going to get rid of it too. That's the whole point of Sunday night, is I just like to show up, whatever I'm wearing, no smoke, no mirrors, no production, no makeup, no lights, no none of that. We're just showing up on a Sunday night, being ourselves and talking, reading a tip from the book and talking. So here we are. Now, I am going to share screen. Vipul, with your permission. I mean, I'm sure I have your permission. You showed up for a read. This is so exciting, guys. Check this out. Here it is. What we're looking at right now is the book cover for Get a Klu in 52 Entrepreneur Edition with co-author Vipul Dayal, my friend, my client. We do so much together. Golf partner. Our kids have hung out. We've hung out. I've rented his beach house to celebrate my birthday. He's had me speak on his behalf. And I mean, like, we're intertwined, we're integrated. Vipul and I are integrated, and we're going to spend a year proving how integrated we are in a way that's productive for others. That's the jam. So Get a Klu in 52 Entrepreneur Edition. This is going to be 5 new categories, 52 brand new tips, but they're all related to being an entrepreneur and dealing with what entrepreneurs have to deal with. And Patty, who's iconically not with us tonight, said it so well when she said, if you want to start your own business, buy a business, or be better in the businesses you already own, this book is well worth the investment. So what are we doing? I'm going to read word for word. Get a Klu in 52 presents another offering to the list of must-read business books. This time, I team up with longtime client, friend, and author of Give Your Way to the Top, Vipul Dayal, to bring you this practical guide to entrepreneurial soft skills, combining my 20-year career as a college communication professor, nearly 2 decades of business coaching experience with entrepreneurs from all over the world, including Catalina. And with Vipul's practical and diverse. Make sure you guys understand that. This is not to be like glossed over. Practical and diverse. It's so important to our offering. With Vipul's practical and diverse resume as a hotelier, charity founder, and owner of over 15 businesses, gives readers all the theory and practice needed to become or improve as an entrepreneur. And that's something that we're really happy about as well. Theory and practice. I've got plenty of practice as an entrepreneur, but not as much practice as Veep. And Vipul has plenty of theory as a leader, but not as much theory as I have as a master of communication, on and on. So combining both of us is giving everybody the peanut butter and chocolate, the Reese's peanut butter cup, if you will, of personal professional growth. That's what we're hoping. So the 5 categories, not in this order. Actually, I think I know the order that they came out in. Ready? Here we go. I think personal branding. We got 10 tips in personal branding. We got 10 tips in business acumen. Like, what does it take to be skillful as a business owner? And then 10 tips as ownership. Like, what does it take? Just own, start. Like, what are the nuts and bolts of just getting something started, the logistics of the entity and getting a business started. So personal branding, business acumen, business ownership. A fourth category in this book is going to be leadership and influence, right? And a lot of the tips that you have heard me read over the last 2 years and Get a Clue in 52 contribute to leadership, but they've never been categorized as leadership tips. We are very specific about the leadership tips and influence tips that we've put into this book. And then finally, work-life balance. Trust me when I tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have a hard time balancing because you're responsible for an entirety of a business, and how responsible you are for that business is always a reason to not go home, to not be home for dinner, to not work out, to not whatever it is, whether it's exercise, fitness, nutrition, relationships, friends, social life, reading, studying, growing personally. Owning a business can take us away from all of that, and then we can get out of balance. So the 10th category are our tips for work-life balance. So there they are, 5 categories, not in this order. Let me just repeat them off the top of my head. Business ownership, business acumen, personal branding, leadership and influence, and work-life balance. Oh boy, are we set up for a fantastic year's worth of tips. And Vipul and I are going to come to you live every single week, just like I've been doing. But because Vipul's my co-author, I can't claim Sunday nights if he's busy on Sunday nights. So Vipul, drum roll, please. Will you let us know which night of the week in 2022 are we going to be coming to people live to explore our 52 tips? Oh, the dogs are excited. Do you hear that?
You said drum roll, and they're like barking.
Yeah. Well, this is a big moment because 104 weeks of Sunday nights in a row is going to shift to a new night, right? Because you play volleyball on Sunday nights, right?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to take a little bit of tip number 52 that we learned in the last section and ask a question. So here's the question, and Charlie's here, we got Kathleen here, and you're here as well. I think we should define what the objective is. If the objective is just to get a lot more people on the video on the Zoom session, then maybe we do it kind of like how you do your Clue Zoos, and maybe we split it up into a couple of weeks, or or maybe if you just want to keep it on Sundays or another particular day, we just keep rolling like we normally do on Tuesdays or Sundays or whatever. But I guess it defines what the objective is, right?
Yeah. Well, let's just discuss this real time. I think the number one thing is we want to do 52 consecutive on the same day. That's number one. Perfect. We want to have 52 recordings, right, for our tips. To have those videos so we can repurpose all of that. And then as far as I'm concerned, that's the number one objective. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter to me when it is, as long as it's something consistent that people can get used to and plan on joining. Now, I've done 104 weeks of Sunday night, and truth be told, I chose Sunday night at 8 o'clock because maybe I didn't want a whole lot of people coming on board. I just want to get the tip read there and be done. But you know what I'm saying? But I was focused on being casual, but this is the part of collaboration, joint venture, and partnership, and working with others. Is that this isn't about me and my jam anymore. Like, Vipul, you're the co-author, and this is as much your project as mine. So I defer to you, right, in terms of what night would work best for you. And it doesn't have to be a night. It can be a business hours jam. As far as I'm concerned, we could do one reading per week during business hours and one reading per week at night. I haven't decided how important it is to me that people are on live as much as it is important that we get all 52 tips recorded with our dialogue. And, I defer to you more than anything else in terms of the day of the week and what time of day. You're the collaborator on this. If it's just up to me, I'd do Sunday nights, right? Because that's what I've been doing. But I think that you told me that you play volleyball on Sunday nights with your club, and Sunday nights may be a challenge. And I also know that you read your own book every single week on Tuesday nights. So you have a following that's used to Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. And so that's what I was expecting, by the way, is Tuesday nights at 8. But we have a couple of days to figure this out, and we can promote it on social. I just didn't know if you'd have an answer for us tonight.
I think that works, man. Tuesday night at 8. I don't
All
have
right. So until further notice, for those of you that are here tonight, there it is. Unless you are notified further, otherwise, Shazam, let it be. Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, we are going to rock Get a Clue in 52 Entrepreneur Edition. This is so exciting to you. There it is. The Entrepreneur Edition of Get a Clue in 52 will be coming to you every night in 2022 on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. It'll be me and Vipul here on Zoom, same Zoom that you joined tonight. And we'll rock and roll. We'll read a tip I'm going to say this. We may not read every single tip in our book, people. We may not read every single tip word for word. Some of the tips get long because we really give a lot of info. So we may just discuss the tip without reading it word for word because we don't want to bore anybody. We can give an overview for the tip. Hopefully you guys will have read the tip and show up with your questions that you're ready for us to answer and discuss with you. There's a lot of promptings in the book for how to be ready for each tip on a week-to-week basis. And guess what? The book is available right now on Amazon. So if you type in Get a Clue in 52, you'll see 3 books there. The first edition of Get a Clue in 52, the second edition of Get a Clue in 52, and the Entrepreneurs edition of Get a Clue in 52. Hey, I believe this book is so good. I already set it to next year's price, 2022, $20.22. It'd be there. And mine are already on the way. I've already ordered my own copies. I want a physical copy in hand for the very first Tuesday in January. We'll be coming to you live here on Zoom, and we'll stream it into the YouTube group, Get a Clue in 52. So the YouTube group, the first year I did 52 weeks in a row of Get a Clue in 52, streaming the videos in there. This year I've been streaming these videos into YouTube. Did I say YouTube group? I'm going too fast. The Facebook group. I created a Facebook group, Get a Clue in 52. First year I streamed the 52 videos in there. And then this year I've been streaming the videos into YouTube. So Facebook and YouTube have been populated with videos of these Sunday night readings. And the Facebook group this year, since I've been streaming into YouTube, I've been putting bonus content in there, like flyby coaching videos and some Klubi snack videos and so forth. But we're going to go back starting in 2022. We're going to live stream right into the Facebook group, Get a Clue in 52. I've already started to rebrand it from the original version to the Entrepreneurs Edition. And that's what it's going to be moving forward. We're going to stream 52 consecutive tip readings into the group Get a Clue in 52. And then Vipul and I are going to check this out. One of the tips in here is to fall in love with making mistakes. You got to be cool about making mistakes and be ready to make mistakes. So Vipul and I are sure to make a bunch of mistakes in the book, and we're going to find them throughout the year. Then we're going to produce the second edition of Get a Clue in 52, but we're going to upload that into Vipul's Amazon account with his branding. And so there'll be 2 versions in circulation. The first version with my branding, where we made all the mistakes, and then we're going to improve on all of those and put the second version out there in Vipul's branding with all of the mistakes corrected. So that's how we're going to approach this. It's a really, really wonderful project. I couldn't be more thrilled to work with a stellar entrepreneur like Vipul. And we're thrilled for everybody that's been following Get a Clue in 52 for the last 2 years. We hope you stay with us. And even though we say Entrepreneur Edition, we know that there's something in this book for everybody. So stick with us and invite entrepreneurs, want-to-be entrepreneurs, people that are thinking about leaving their 20-year career to be an entrepreneur but don't know, or people that have made the jump but they're struggling and they need some help, or whatever the case may be. There's something in here for you, and we hope that you stick with us in 2022. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. All right. So Get a Clue in 52 tonight at 8:43 p.m. is about to sign off. I'm going to go ahead and ask for last call. Comments, questions, jokes, stories, anything that anybody wants to share. It's wide open here on a Sunday night. Kathleen, Charlie, Veep, thanks for joining me. Any last call for comments, questions, anything from you guys?
Hey, one real quick thing about the book, about the Entrepreneur Edition, guys. I'm really excited because I'm excited to bring people who I've had throughout the journey to become an entrepreneur. I'm excited to bring those people along as guests and kind of pick their brain as well about the tip.
That's right.
So many people come to mind who helped me. My dad, my mom. When we get to work-life balance, he is the prime example of really the opposite of work-life balance where I grew up. So it'd be interesting to see.
Imbalance, right? Well, that was tip number 9 in that section is balance is BS, right? It's like saying, hey, Well, not to give the cat away, but like if you want to be great at anything, you have to be ready to give up what you're going to give up in order to be great. Anybody go through life par, but if you want to be great, get ready to be out of balance, and that's all there is to it.
And can you imagine like bringing him on and seeing the sacrifice that he left his family thousands of miles away, $200 in his pockets, came from India, which is like 110 degrees, to Chicago, which is negative 30 degrees. Oh, man. And didn't own a jacket. And this guy, was a complete, the first entrepreneur I know that I grew up with. So anyways, I'm excited, man. Got my juices flowing. Sorry.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, like, I think that myself and yourself, the combination of just me and you, we can hold the show. Yeah. But hearing and imagining that you're going to be lining up special guests, and I can always bring on special guests. I've done that a couple of times throughout the years on Get a Klu in 52. I have about 5 guests per year. Out of 10% of the tips have a special guest. I'm looking forward to that, because everybody that you bring on board, everybody that I've been introduced to in your sphere has a special heart and a special purpose, and that's what we're doing. We're
opposite as well, Coach Jeff, because one of the person I'm thinking about bringing on for personal branding is Asha Modi, who helped me and you with branding. She is like, her stuff is good. Yeah, good. Anyway, so
yeah. So there's the preview. Not only are you going to get to experience Vipul and I, but you never know what kind of special guests we're going to invite to help us elaborate on these tips and speak from their experience about the tips that we're offering. And wow, is it next week yet? Anyway. Any other comments, questions? Thank you, Vipul. Charlie, what do you got? Your microphone's open. What do you got, Charlie?
Well, I'm actually just wanting to say as well, again, these 104 weeks have been nothing but growth. And I'm looking forward to the Entrepreneur Edition. And I'd like to say to some people, just do it. Do whatever it takes. The balance, as you've just mentioned, I've invited quite a number of people. Some have come on 1 or 2 times, but then again, the time zone thing with South Africa and so forth. I will get up at 2:00 in the morning as long as I'm going to learn. It doesn't matter. It's just doing whatever you need to do to grow. If you want to grow, as Coach Jeff said, if you want to become better, then you're going to have to just put a little bit of this balance.
Wonderful, Charlie. Warms my heart. I'm trying not to cry and get overwhelmed. And it's the holiday season, and there's so much emotion and family and love and joy. And a lot of things are coming to an end this week, but it really is just the beginning of so many brand new, wonderful things. So, Charlie, God, I love you so much for being, of the 104 weeks, I bet you've been with me at least 100 of them. I honestly, I can't imagine any more than 3 or 4 that you've missed. It means the world to me that you wake up at 5:30 in the morning, South Africa time, to be here with us live as you do. And then you promote and you capture Klubi snacks and you promote those. And it just warms my heart, Charlie. Thank you so much. Kathleen, thank you for being with us tonight. I hope you got something of value out of tonight, from a review of the tips to the reading of tonight's tips to a preview of what's coming in 22. And I wanted to, this is my introduction, Kathleen, to Vipul. Vipul, I've told you guys about each other, but now you get to, hear each other's voices and see Vipul's face. Kathleen, you and I are both looking at Vipul's face right now, by the way. Anyway, I hope you're laughing behind the scenes. And you didn't know what to expect tonight. I invited you on board and you're like, what is this? And I said, it's going public and it's live. And you're like, okay, I'll have to activate my microphone. And that's fine. That's what tonight's all about. Nobody has to activate their mic. Nobody has to activate their camera. Nobody has to participate. But if you're here, you can. And you can interact live. And we love that. And thanks in advance to anybody that's going to join us in the future. And whether you do or not, we're still going to read the tips because we're recording this, and then we can, it's content repurposing. If you're marketing your business, if you have to market your business, the more content you put out into the world as a subject matter expert, the more credibility you have, and the more chance you have of being recognized and followed and even criticized. I don't care if people criticize me, that's fine. At least they know what I'm doing. And, I can't criticize somebody that I can't see. I need to see you in order to criticize you. And usually people are guilty of what they accuse others of, right? So it's all good. Be vulnerable, put yourself out there, demonstrate your subject matter expertise. And this is how I've done it for 2 years. Vipul has done this for a full year with his book, Give Your Way to the Top. Let me do a shameless plug for this guy right here. Give Your Way to the Top by Vipul Dial is one of the greatest books I've ever read in my life. It's really, 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 really good. And I'm honored and thrilled that Vipul and I are going to partner up now on the Entrepreneur edition of Get a Klu in 52. So thank you guys in advance for making your commitment to follow us. Mark your calendars now. Vipul said Tuesday night, 8 p.m. for 52 consecutive weeks in 2022. By the way, that's how much the book will cost, 2022. It's next year's price. And of course, a week from now, it'll be this year's price. And I don't have anything else to say tonight other than thank you. I love you guys. And I can't wait to see you on the flip side of the year. Sprint to the finish line of a fantastic and healthy 2021. And we're ready to support you weekly and be here for you weekly in 2022. Vipul and I will be online every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. in 2022. Whether you want to talk about a tip that we've read in our book or anything else you think we can help you with, we are here every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific. Is there anything else that anybody else wants to say before we dismiss for tonight? The last installment of Get a Klu in 52, inaugural, whatever edition, before we switch to Entrepreneur edition. I mean, this is a big moment for me.
All I'd like to add is say, have a great week, everybody, and a happy new year. May you go out of this year a little bit more positive, and I hope we can get over this pandemic and get through to a bit of normality. But that being said, a happy new year and wishing everyone all the prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness for 2022.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much, my friend. I always say jokingly, happy Klu year. Of course, I can't help myself. Anything else for tonight? For tonight before we dismiss?
It's going to be a fantastic Klu year with the 52 tips on entrepreneurship. I'm so looking forward to it. And you guys better prepare yourselves with some good Klubi snacks.
Oh man, you're going to be so thrilled, Charlie, when you see the book. Klubi snacks are actually like highlighted and like, you'll see when you get your own copy of Get a Klu in 52. By the way, I think it's available on Amazon right now. I think you can go and buy it right now, even in South Africa, in all of the various countries that it's available. We're so thrilled. We're so excited. We can't wait to see you on the flip side in 2022, but there's a couple days left in 2021. So make sure you're safe, make sure you're happy, make sure you're celebrating, make sure you're grateful for every blessing that you've realized in your life till now. And I'll say this before, we've all had our trials, we've all had our tribulations, but I guarantee you, not a single one of us has ever been more fortunate than we are right now, this second. Let's go ahead and seal it with a kiss. Are you ready, Charlie?
Yeah.
All right, my friend, here we go. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week, Tuesday night, first Tuesday in January, 8 p.m. Get a Klu in 52 Entrepreneur Edition. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Happy New Year and a good year to all.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night.